I think the store had been launched for about 3 days when I got my first
Nice.
sale. So,
Nice.
like, I had my phone on loud, sitting on the counter, and I
Yeah.
hear ding, like,
Yep.
what was
That
that? Like,
sweet that sweet sound of the Shopify app.
yeah, it's
That's
like
awesome. 3 days
crazy.
in. Hey everyone, I'm Joe Robert.
And I'm Alicia.
And today we're going to talk about how she has scaled her print on demand store to almost $15,000 in sales. Well, thanks, Alicia, for joining me here. Basically, what we're going to try to do here is show everybody watching a little bit about what it takes to run profitable print on demand store. Why don't we start with results? If you can maybe just talk about where the store is at in total sales, total amount of orders, when you started the store, so that way people can sort of understand what kind of results we're talking about here.
I started the store at the very end of June of this year. So far, we've done 531 orders
Nice.
and just under 15,000. I think in the next 2 days, we'll probably get up to 15,000 in total sales.
Awesome. And as we're making this video, today is, what is the date today? October 5th. I just looked at it. So about 4 months. July, August, September, or about 3 months, right?
Yep. July was a pretty slow month because I was just starting my ads and everything like that.
Sure.
August and September, those were the bigger months where I hit the ads a lot more, got a lot
Sure.
more products in there, got the exposure to everyone on social media. So yeah, it's mostly
Nice.
been August and September. July was maybe like $2,000, but the rest has been in the last 2 months.
Cool. One of the things that I think is interesting about your story is just how quick the sales have sort of come. I know you mentioned July was a little bit slower, but I feel like every couple of weeks I'm hearing from you with like a new sales milestone. At this point, you've got a couple of mugs from the POD University Mug Club. You're about to hit 15,000 and get yourself the 15K mug. Talk a little bit about like what it was like as you started to realize that the print on demand store that you were running was working and that it was making sales and that you were in a sense making it.
Like the first few orders kind of roll in, and you're like, wow, okay, I'm getting some orders. And then
Yeah.
there's one day where I had 15 orders in one day.
Wow.
At that point I was like, okay, like maybe this is actually gonna work. Like, let's
Yeah.
see what I can do here. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of been uphill since then, and hopefully it continues
Sure.
that way.
That's awesome. I remember, so I made my first print on demand sale as I was driving in the car, and it was so long ago that we still had like auxiliary cords in all the cars. And not that anybody can't have those now, but a lot of it is Bluetooth. And I remember having my phone plugged in, and the Shopify cha-ching sound like played through the car speakers as I was driving, and I was like, what is that? And ultimately, that was a moment that I'll never forget. But did you tell anybody like as you were working on this? Like, what did they think as you were telling them about your results?
Well, the first one I told was my wife. I was like, I just got a sale, and she's like, what? Already? Because I think the store had been launched for about 3 days when I got my first
Nice.
sale. So,
Nice.
like, I had my phone on loud, sitting on the counter, and I
Yeah.
hear ding, like,
Yep.
what was
That
that? Like,
sweet that sweet sound of the Shopify app.
yeah, it's
That's
like
awesome. three
crazy.
days in. How long did it take you to get to 1K?
I think it was about 4 weeks, like a month before I got to
Nice.
1K.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely, like in a club of people that is maybe a little bit rarer, right? Like I think a lot of people when they jump into POD, it maybe takes them a month to make their first couple of sales. Like I said, I joked earlier where it just seems like every time I hear from you, there's like a new sales milestone. So awesome stuff for you. Awesome job. Where are you selling? Where have you built your print on demand store? I know the answer, but I want you to tell everyone watching.
Well, I built it on Shopify. I compared that. I compared Wix and e-commerce. I don't really like
Sure.
the setup, anything like that. I thought, a lot of things integrated right with Shopify.
Sure.
So I tried to go with that. I tried Etsy for a little bit. The fees are kind of outrageous. I feel like I have to price my things higher just to cover the 9-10% in fees that they
Sure.
charge. Really not worth it.
Sure. So did you try like just Etsy by itself before going to Shopify at all, or did you just kind of do both simultaneously and then the Shopify is what took off?
I started Shopify first, and then once I got 10, 15 products up there, I put two
Sure.
of them over Etsy just to see, like the better ones that were selling. Put those
Sure.
over there. They didn't really do too much. I sold, I think, one on Etsy
Yep.
with paid ads. I was doing like $1 a day over there. Not
Yep.
really, it wasn't worth it because by the time I made the
Sure.
sale, I was already $15 into ads, and that ate up
Sure.
everything.
So you're Shopify, you're selling on social media. How much budget did you like start your marketing with? Because I think sometimes people, if they hear about selling on social media, they get all concerned about budget. budget. Talk us through, you started in July. What was your budget like when you jumped into marketing for the first time?
My first testing ads, I did those at $1 a day. And then when I got some ones that were actually working, I started those at like a $5 a day conversion. So I
Yep.
think I was maybe $15 a day total, like in the
Sure.
beginning.
Sure.
And I've built up to about between 65 and 80, kind of just depending on which ones are actually taking off. I try new ads.
Sure.
I try to add at least one ad a week just to see if it's working. If not, it comes down.
Cool. Let's break that down a little bit. So you started with the $1 ads as we teach, and then you scaled up after you had some that seemed good. You went to $5 a day. You had a few of those running. You were at the $15 a day mark or so for a couple of different ads. Is that when you made like your first sale that you were talking about, like within the first 3 days, or is that what you did for a bit to get to like the 1K mark?
The first sale actually came from one of like the testing ads. Like someone actually
The $1 ads?
Yep. That
Wow,
was
that's awesome.
the 1,000 mark. I think I was probably still at about $5 a day per like conversion ad. I didn't really
Sure.
many up at that point.
I love that. Like I think obviously I'm someone that really likes to sell on social media. It's something I talk about a lot here on the channel, but I think again, you are just like the perfect representation of what's possible when you just try to build a nice looking store, when you have cool products, you put them in front of people on social media. I don't want to say it's easy. It's simple. You target your niche, you put the ad in front of them, and if you have a great product, they will buy. So really great stuff. You mentioned that you're spending now about $60 a day, so you've scaled up a little bit. What's the results like on a daily basis? Like how many sales, how many orders, how many total dollars are you seeing on a daily basis now?
Daily basis, I would say there's between 5 and 7 orders and anywhere from $200 to $250 a day. I mean, I've had a couple days where I've had $600 in the sales in one day, and then I've had a couple days where it's only $60. So
Sure. Yeah, it definitely fluctuates. It definitely, depending on, sometimes I find, especially in the summer, if there's like a day, at least like where it seems like nationwide, it's like really nice out, then the sales might go down a little bit because no one's really on, social media looking at products. And that would probably be true no matter where you're selling, right? If it's really nice out and you're on Etsy or Amazon or something, there's a good chance that you might see, some fluctuations too. How much time do you think you spend like looking at the marketing, looking at your ads that you're running on a daily basis?
I look at my store through my phone probably like 30 times a day. I'm just like, okay, what's going on in the store? If there are any things, like how many visitors do I have? But as far as marketing, I look at the ads every day to see, how many clicks am I getting? What is it compared to yesterday? But I'd say I probably spend maybe an hour, 2 hours throughout the day, not at one time. I'll just look at a couple hours and then work on actually making the products later.
Sure. I have definitely, literally since starting POD, been someone who cannot like take a day off from looking at things. Sometimes I talk to people that they are like, yeah, I look at it every couple of days and just to make sure that things are working. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I look at it like every couple of hours to make sure it's still working because I mean, part of it's exciting, right? When you pull out your phone, you look at it and you're like, oh, I got a new order. Or you hear that, that Shopify cha-ching, and then you go back and you look to see, like, part of it's just exciting.
It was like, what did they buy? Like, what products are actually selling? What do people actually like? Like,
Have you had many like repeat buyers? I know we were talking a little bit prior about like some of the things you're working on. Have you had anybody that you've noticed has been like a repeat buyer for you, or someone that has bought a lot of things from you?
Yep, I have one person that has bought. She's working on her 11th order with me.
Wow,
we go back and forth.
Awesome.
Because I gave her the store email, everything like that. So we've been emailing back and forth. I think we have like 150 emails between us because we go back like, hey, can you make this? How about this design? I like this one. I'll send her designs. I've had a lot of other people that they'll buy like a smaller order, just like to test out the store, see if it's legit, and then back and they buy a bigger order. They want a huge order where the first one might have $15, $25, and then the second one is a $75, $80 order.
Yep. So nice. That's awesome. So you're building a real brand, it seems then.
Trying to, yeah.
Nice. I mean, you're doing great. You're almost $15,000 in sales in about 3 months. So that's awesome. In terms of, I guess, like more stuff about the marketing. What are you doing for your actual ads? Are you running ads that are videos? Are you running ads that are just images or pictures of your product? Or off camera, you mentioned you have a lot of like samples, right? So are you taking photos of the products and using those in your your marketing, or how are you going about that part?
I haven't done any video ads yet. Most of them are either like a single image or a
Mm-hmm.
carousel of like
Sure.
different images, kind of depending on the product. But for the most part, I'm taking my own pictures.
Cool.
I have samples. I'm, putting them where I want. If it's
Sure.
good lighting, bad lighting,
Sure.
kind of things,
Sure.
trying to figure it out. But I'll take
Sure.
the picture myself. I'll, kind of put a nice background on it, put some text on there. But the video ads, I have ideas for video ads. I just haven't gotten time to do
Sure,
them yet.
sure. That's great. I ask because sometimes a lot of people, when they're just starting out, they'll ask questions about, like, should I be ordering samples, and should I be testing quality? And that's all great. Like, I never tell people that you, like, have to order samples or that you must order samples. But what I do say is, if you do order samples, make sure that you do more than just check the quality. Make sure that you do more than just make sure the design comes out correctly. Like, make sure you actually take photos of that stuff, that you use it in your marketing, that you use it on your store or on just a social media page. There's something about, in my opinion, in my experience, a real photo showing up in like the Instagram newsfeed or something. It almost looks like a post that one of their friends is making, and I sometimes find that they perform a little better than, just a traditional, POD mock-up. But also too, I don't want anybody watching to think that I'm saying that you can't make sales with mock-ups. There are plenty of designs that I have sold with only mock-ups, and they have done just fine. So don't worry about that. How about your store? You're on Shopify. Obviously, you don't have to reveal like your store name or anything, but is it a .com domain name?
Yep, it is a .com. Yep, I
Awesome.
made match my business name. It's
Sure.
something that fits the niche if you know the niche type of
Sure.
thing,
Yep.
where the people will be like, "What? What's that name?" But if you know
Sure.
it, you know it.
Sure. Nice. And how about the store? Are you using, what kind of theme are you using? Is it a paid theme, or is it a free theme, or what is it?
I have a free theme. I'm actually using the ride theme because like
Cool.
the and black kind of fit, the niche really well. It seems to work really, really well so far. I didn't want something that
Yeah.
was like super cookie cutter,
Sure.
like
Sure.
just a white background, and I don't really like that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think, again, I asked the question because sometimes people, when we're kind of hitting all these things that sometimes people are apprehensive about when it comes to selling on a place like Shopify, right? They're afraid to spend a whole bunch of money on marketing. Again, you started at $1 a day, made your first sale in the first 3 days. You then went to $5 a day, and ultimately did that for a long time. After 30 days, you got to $1,000 in sales, and with your store, you're on a free theme. You didn't spend hundreds on a Shopify theme like some people think you have to. What about apps? Do you have any like paid Shopify apps that you use on the site? And if so, what are they?
I have two. I have Zepto, which is like a product personalizer where they can
Sure.
personalize like the text, the color kind of
Sure.
things. I have one
Sure.
that's a bundling type of app where if they
Yep.
buy X amount, they receive the product at, lower price. Those are the only two apps that I use right now though.
Nice. And you said Zepto for product personalization. And then what is the bundling app that you use? Do you have it in front of you for the name?
Avocado?
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 Avocado? I don't think I've heard of that one. In terms of personalization, that's kind of a cool segue there. Is if you're doing personalization, how long does that take you to go from the point where you are taking like the customer's information that they want in the personalization and then inputting it to update your design file, basically?
For what they're personalizing, it takes me about 10 seconds, honestly, because I
Gotcha.
have Canva. I've opted for the pro version of Canva. So
Sure.
I have my designs in there. And for the text-based ones, I mean, they pick font 10, right? I
Yeah.
take their, so this says right there exactly how they want this. They want it uppercase, lowercase. I take that,
Sure.
copy,
Sure. That's what I always, sometimes people are, again, apprehensive to do personalization in like a manual way. And in a lot of cases, if you're just doing simple personalization, like what you're talking about, that's going to make the product like way more valuable to the person that is buying it, right? Which can increase sales, it can increase profits as well. But also on your end, it's not much work, right? It's literally the same thing as you like opening up an essay in Microsoft Word or something and highlighting the text and typing something else in there, right? You're just doing it with your design file. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. In terms of like next steps for you, you're at about 15,000 in sales. Obviously, we're coming into a very busy time of year. When you think about your store, and I know I'm putting you on the spot right now because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you something like this, but when you think about your store, what is like one part of the business that you wish you would spend more time on? Or like what is one part of the business that you're like trying to be better at in an effort to like increase sales, especially going into the holiday season?
think something that I would like to be better at would be social media. Like I'm okay with
Okay.
social media. I post a
Sure.
lot, quite a bit of engagement, but the actual posts themselves, like you
Sure.
can see where someone comes from. Most of them
Sure.
are coming from ads, not from
Sure.
social media. Okay, how can I
Sure.
convert that? Because that's free.
And when you say social media, you mean like organic, right? Like you have an Instagram page, you're growing a following, and what you're saying is you want to be able to perfect that process a little bit more. Really, for anybody watching, what we're talking about is something I talk about here on YouTube a lot. It's something that I teach about as well, which is you as the print-on-demand store owner kind of curating content for your niche in an attempt to gain followers that you can then, promote products to. And I would say that would be something that you could definitely, if you're not finding many sales coming from that at all, I would say you could at least match what you're doing with ads in terms of sales if you definitely, like, if you put the time in. Obviously it's not an overnight thing, but it's something that can certainly pay off. Put you on the spot again. What would be, for someone watching right now, right? Let's say they're watching, they're just getting started with POD, they're nervous, they're apprehensive, they don't know, what to do, they don't know what's right, what's wrong. They're going to be building a Shopify site, trying to sell on social media. What would be like one piece of advice if you were to give them one thing to think about? What would it be?
Make sure you're designing something that people actually want to buy.
Sure.
Make sure that it's something that they're interested in. I mean,
Sure.
if you're selling to a cat person, you're not going to design something with lizards on it. You're going to design
Right.
something with on it. Like,
Right. So basically, make sure you have a niche.
yeah, make sure your designs match what your niche actually wants.
Sure. No, ultimately, that's literally like and if I was to pick one thing that would determine your success with a print-on-demand store, it would be that your designs are things that people actually want to buy. Just like you said, I think a lot of people jump into POD and they just kind of think, what's the saying? Like, if you build it, they will come. They think that that's the same thing with their POD store. If they put it together and they throw it out there, that, it's going to be awesome and people are just going to buy it. So I think that's great advice. Like I said at the beginning, thank you for your time. I hope anybody watching this got value out of it. And again, thank you. I appreciate it.
I have one more piece of advice.
Sure. Go ahead.
when Shopify has their $1 a month type of things, you get 3 months. You get 3 months
Awesome.
to try. If it doesn't work in those 3 months, you're out $3. You're not
Right.
paying for a year up front, anything like that. So try it.
That's a great point. I think sometimes, again, people think they look at maybe the annual cost of Shopify and they're like, oh, that's a lot of money to just kind of try something. But, just like Alicia said, Shopify runs really amazing promos all the time. And they're doing that because they are aware that a lot of people are attempting to start a Shopify store, but might be apprehensive and they want to let people try it first, essentially, before they have to sign up for something that's a little bit more expensive. So that's great advice. Thank you for cutting me off and adding that. Like I said, though, I appreciate your time and thank you. Yeah, of course.